The bustling city echoed with the hum of expensive cars and hurried footsteps as Keanu Reeves, dressed in a simple gray shirt, worn-out jeans, and a faded cap, walked down the street. His calm demeanor seemed almost out of place among the glitz and glamour. He glanced up at the towering luxury watch store, Aurum, its golden accents glistening in the afternoon sun. Taking a deep breath, he stepped inside, unnoticed by the sharply dressed staff. The store was filled with dazzling displays of extravagant watches, each more luxurious than the last. Keanu moved slowly, his hands in his pockets, his eyes calmly scanning the showcases. One of the employees, a tall, slim man named Ryan, noticed him immediately. His perfectly tailored suit screamed wealth, but his narrowed eyes revealed judgment. Ryan approached, forcing a polite smile that barely concealed his disdain. "Can I help you?" he asked, voice clipped and condescending. Keanu gave a small nod. "Just looking," he replied calmly, his gaze fixed on an exquisite, diamond-encrusted watch. Ryan scoffed softly, folding his arms. "That model costs more than most people make in a year," he muttered under his breath. "Maybe try something simpler." Keanu looked at him, his expression unchanged. "I just wanted to know more about it," he said, voice calm but curious. Ryan couldn't hide his smirk. "Trust me, it's way out of your league. Maybe check the discount section at the back," he sneered, already dismissing him as just another dreamer. Unfazed, Keanu remained silent, his attention still on the watch. A few customers glanced over, sensing tension but saying nothing. Ryan seemed to enjoy the moment, confident he had put the stranger in his place. Little did he know, his arrogance was about to backfire in a way he couldn't imagine. Keanu took a slow breath, his calmness almost unsettling to Ryan, who couldn't understand why this scruffy-looking man wouldn't just leave. Determined to make his point, Ryan leaned closer, lowering his voice with a mocking tone. "Look, buddy, this place isn't for window shopping. People come here to buy, not to gawk. Maybe you should try one of those thrift stores down the block." Keanu didn't flinch, his gaze still fixed on the watch. "I just wanted to see how it works," he said, his tone polite but firm. Ryan scoffed, shaking his head. "Show you how it works? This isn't some bargain bin toy. It's handcrafted with white gold and diamonds, fully automatic, and costs $300,000. You can't just try it on." Keanu finally looked up, his eyes meeting Ryan's. There was something calm but intense about his stare that made Ryan hesitate for just a moment. "If you're so sure I can't afford it, why not just let me see it?" Keanu asked. Ryan forced a laugh, loud enough for other customers to hear. "Because I don't waste time on people who clearly don't belong here," he shot back. A few patrons exchanged uncomfortable glances, sensing the tension rising. Just as Ryan turned to walk away, another employee named Grace stepped in, noticing the situation. She gave Keanu a gentle smile, trying to diffuse the discomfort. "Is there something specific you're looking for, sir?" she asked kindly. Before Keanu could respond, Ryan cut her off. "Don't bother Grace. He's just wasting time. Probably looking for a cheap thrill, pretending he's got money." Grace hesitated, unsure whether to follow Ryan's lead or trust her own instincts. Keanu gave her a reassuring nod, as if to say it was all right. Without another word, he turned and headed for the door, moving with an unbothered grace that left Grace puzzled. Ryan smirked victoriously, muttering under his breath, "Thought so." But as Keanu reached the exit, a low murmur swept through the store. One of the customers, an older gentleman, suddenly gasped, nudging his wife. "Is that Keanu Reeves?" he whispered, loud enough for others to hear. Ryan froze, his face losing color as whispers spread like wildfire. Realization hit him like a punch to the gut. Grace's eyes widened in shock, and suddenly, every pair of eyes was on the man who had just been humiliated and dismissed. Ryan's heart pounded in his chest as the truth settled in. He had just insulted one of the world's most beloved and respected celebrities, and the reality of his mistake made his stomach twist painfully. Ryan's mind raced, his heart thundering as he processed the colossal mistake he had just made. Panic surged through him as Grace shot him a horrified look, whispering, "Are you out of your mind? That was Keanu Reeves." Cold sweat broke out on Ryan's forehead as he stumbled forward, desperate to fix the mess he'd created. He pushed past a few stunned customers and hurried toward the door where Keanu was just stepping out. "Mr. Reeves, please wait!" he called out, his voice trembling with regret. Keanu paused, slowly turning around with the same calm expression, his gaze steady but unyielding. Ryan nearly tripped over his own feet as he reached him, forcing a nervous smile. "Sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it was you. Please, come back inside. We'd be honored to assist you," he stammered, his confidence completely shattered. Keanu didn't respond immediately, his silence making Ryan even more anxious. Finally, Keanu spoke, his voice calm yet firm. "You need to know who I am to treat me with respect?" The words hit like a punch, and Ryan's face turned crimson. He opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. Grace approached cautiously, giving Keanu a sincere, apologetic look. "Mr. Reeves, I'm truly sorry for the way you were treated. It was completely uncalled for," she said softly. Keanu gave her a faint nod of acknowledgement, but his focus remained on Ryan, who now looked like a scolded child. "Respect shouldn't depend on recognition," Keanu said quietly. "It should be given regardless of who walks through that door." Just then, the store manager, Mr. Hampton, rushed out, clearly alarmed by the commotion. "What's going on here?" he demanded, looking from Ryan's pale face to Keanu's composed one. Grace whispered quickly, updating him on the situation, and the manager's expression shifted from confusion to utter disbelief. "Mr. Reeves," Hampton started, his tone almost pleading, "I can't express how deeply sorry I am for what just happened. Please, allow us to make it right. You're welcome to choose any watch you like, on the house." Keanu glanced at the store, then at the anxious faces surrounding him. With a slight shake of his head, he simply replied, "I didn't come here for favors. I just wanted to be treated like any other person." The crowd outside the store grew as people began to recognize him, snapping photos and whispering in excitement. Ryan's heart sank further, realizing the damage not just to his own reputation, but to the store's image as well. He swallowed hard, forcing himself to look Keanu in the eyes. I'm sorry," he managed to choke out, his voice barely above a whisper. Keanu didn't respond, just gave him a long, thoughtful look, before finally stepping away and disappearing into the bustling crowd, leaving behind a store full of stunned silence and a remorseful employee who knew his actions would haunt him for a long time. The store fell into a tense, uneasy silence as Ryan stood frozen, still processing the weight of his mistake. Mr. Hampton shot him a glare so sharp it could cut glass. "My office. Now," he snapped, his voice low but furious. Ryan swallowed hard, his legs feeling like lead as he followed the manager inside. Grace watched them go, shaking her head in disappointment. Once behind closed doors, Mr. Hampton didn't hold back. "Do you realize what you've done?" he barked, slamming his hand on the desk. "You humiliated one of the most respected celebrities in the world. Do you know how much damage you just did to our reputation?" Ryan's hands trembled as he tried to form words. "Sir, I didn't know it was him. He just looked so..." The manager cut him off sharply. "It doesn't matter how he looked. You're supposed to treat every customer with respect, no exceptions. Instead, you decided to act like a gatekeeper of luxury, and now we're the ones paying the price." Ryan lowered his head, his cheeks burning with shame. I didn't think..." "That's right," Mr. Hampton interrupted. "You didn't think. And now, Social media is blowing up with people calling for boycotts and dragging our name through the mud. Do you have any idea how hard it will be to recover from this? Ryan couldn't meet his eyes, guilt gnawing at his insides. I'm sorry. I really am. Hampton let out a heavy sigh, rubbing his temples as if trying to ease a headache. Sorry doesn't fix this, he muttered. The damage is done. Keanu Reeves is known for his humility and kindness, and you made a complete fool out of yourself by judging him based on his clothes. You've embarrassed not just yourself, but the entire store. Just then, Grace knocked gently and stepped inside, holding a piece of paper. Sir, I think you should see this, she said cautiously, handing it over. It was a handwritten note left behind by Keanu before he left. Hampton unfolded it and read aloud. Respect shouldn't come with a price tag. Real value lies in how you treat others, not in what they're wearing or how they look. It's not too late to change that mindset. Keanu Reeves. Silence fell as Hampton lowered the paper, his face reflecting a mix of regret and contemplation. Ryan's eyes filled with shame, realizing how deeply he had misunderstood the very essence of respect. Hampton let out a slow breath and looked at Ryan one last time. You'll be taking some time off to reflect on your behavior. If you can't learn from this, don't bother coming back. Ryan nodded slowly, accepting the consequence. As he walked out of the office, he couldn't help but feel the weight of his actions pressing down on him. The lesson was bitter, but it was one he would never forget. Meanwhile, social media continued buzzing with the story, but the message that stood out the most wasn't about the mistake itself. It was about the humility and grace of a man who didn't let fame define his humanity.